Okay, it appears that we're on the air.
Howdy,
All right.
friends. Howdy. I am Konstantin Samalov. I am with Eric and Manus. We are the Brain Drain team. The Brain Drain, the nonprofit that brings talent and good hearts to America. And we welcome you to another episode of our weekly broadcast where we discuss different topics that concern immigration to the USA. Welcome, Manus, Eric. Fantastic to have you. We have Tamara as well.
Yes.
She's behind the scenes working.
Tamara's behind the scenes
Yes.
doing all the mixing. Yes.
Hello.
There she is briefly.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent, Tamara.
Yes.
With her lawyerly look.
All right.
Oh, she's a lawyer. She had a lifelong career as a lawyer in Russia. Yeah, an excellent
Absolutely.
lawyer.
All right.
Well, yeah.
We're going to discuss a very interesting topic. I don't know, perhaps Manus, can you fill us in?
My understanding is we are discussing the recent updates to the immigration policies, let's put it that way, how they're going to be enforced.
Well, I would add what they're gonna be and how they're gonna be enforced.
Okay.
That's a little broader topic.
Yes.
Okay, so we've been in panic mode, and we're very concerned. And I'm not just talking about us personally. I'm talking about the immigrant community or potential immigrant community to the United States in this part of the world. When we heard the news that the U.S. policy on processing immigration visas is going to be changed starting January 21st, and everyone got very concerned. Okay, so I know it's been the talk of Uzbekistan, Russia, and other countries. And the reason we are here today is we want to clarify things, or at least share what we know, because we are experts on this issue, and we know as much as there is information out there. So this is why we're here, and we invite you to join us to learn about this. Is it issue or topic or problem? What is this? Help me out here.
Well, I think it's just the ongoing policy adjustments and the shifts that are going on, depending on the geopolitical situation. And everybody knows that the situation geopolitically is not the most stable right now. And so, depending on world events, things are liable to change. Now, that obviously puts a wrench in a lot of people's plans that are in the middle of trying to immigrate to the United States or are in the process. So, Manus, I know we're proud of you. You just attained your certificate, where you've been doing a lot of studying in the immigration law, and you've had your ear to the ground in terms of immigration. So, what's maybe your overall 1,000-foot view?
I am not panicked, to be honest. I am not. This is just a situation that comes up over the years. We've had restrictive policies, and then we've gone back to more liberal policies. The main thing that is going to be adjusted, and unfortunately, it's for the so-called 75 countries, which now Russia is part of it. But the reality is how many people are actually going to be affected is not all that extensive. How many, it is going to be, definitely inconvenient. And I know on a personal level, it could be almost tragic. But in the overall sense of things, USCIS is still working, and they are still operating, and they are still processing. They will process. They will process over 1 million applications this year on the family and employment based. That is not going to change. What will change is that maybe they'll do a little bit less on the visa side, on the consular side. There's two sides to getting your visa processed, and one is through what we call adjustment of status if you're in the United States, and the other one is through consular processing. And those restrictions are significant, but they're manageable. So I don't know if that makes sense to you. If you want to ask any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I would like to clarify. A lot of people who are watching us right now, they don't really know the details of how the process works. And Manus, Eric, if I make a mistake, you correct me, okay? So the U.S. immigration system works in 2 stages. Well, there are 2 agencies involved. One is called USCIS, and another one is called the State Department. The USCIS is the agency responsible for immigration, the processing of immigration requests to the United States. There's certain legislation that sets the ways how foreigners can immigrate to the USA, become permanent residents, and then later become citizens. Okay, and that is the responsibility of the USCIS. That's the agency whose agents, employees, conduct the process of reviewing applications. If someone applies to immigrate to the United States, that's USCIS officers who review and make decisions. So once, let's say someone applies, says, look, I am such and such, I would like to immigrate to the United States based on, my family is in the United States, for example, or, I get a golden visa, or, whatever. There are different ways, or talent visa. And then USCIS reviews the case and says, okay, you're legit. We reviewed your application and we approve it. And boom, they put a stamp. And then they move it to the State Department. And the State Department is the agency responsible for letting foreigners into the United States. In order to get to the USA with the application approved from the USCIS, you have to take it, go to the US Embassy, fill out certain forms, and apply for certain visa to enter the United States. Because you can't just take your application, go to the embassy, or go to the border and be admitted. No. First, you need to go to the embassy, and that is the home base of the State Department. So you apply, you provide the documents, State Department reviews your case, and primarily they make sure that you're not a criminal, not a terrorist, you're legit, you meet all the criteria for entering the United States. Once they approve you, they give you a visa. That's a stamp in the passport, immigrant's visa. And you go to the border, you get admitted, and then you apply to the USCIS once inside the United States, and they change your status, or they grant you status, they give you a green card, whatever. So this is how the process works. Manus, if I made a mistake, please correct me.
Okay, yeah, there's an important step that we glossed over. The application is known as the I-140. It could also be the I-130, depending on the category that you're applying for membership or immigration to the United States. Once that is approved, once you are approved on that, that can't be reversed except for a court order. that information goes to the National Visa Center. All right, and then they will issue visas for each
Is that a
individual.
part of USCIS?
No, it's a separate agency.
Ah, okay.
All right, it's a National Visa Center, and then the National Visa Center will then redistribute the visas to either the USCIS if the individual is in the United States on a temporary basis, or it will issue it to the consulates. And those who are outside the United States will then go to the consulate for the interview. And again, the consulate is responsible for verifying the information that was on the application and on the visa approval. So they're primarily looking for, the two, I think, the two main concerns if you're going to the consulate is one, that you pass the medical exam and that you don't have any communicable diseases. And two, that you have your financials or sponsorship lined up so that you do not become a public charge. And being a public charge is going for welfare and things of that nature. Again, that is where the hang-up is now coming because of the political situation. And they are now looking to pause things as they redo their process on the financial side. I don't know if I just confused you even more or if I made things clearer.
Well, at least you tried to clear up.
Yes.
I think it's pretty clear. And I'd like to emphasize that, yeah, you said it earlier that USCIS, that part of the state that takes applications for immigration to the USA and reviews them and makes decisions, that part is not getting on pause. It still works.
Right.
It's still working and it will continue working. We're talking about the other part. Once you have your application approved and everything is in order, you apply at the consulate to get your immigrant visa. And that's is going to stop for Russian nationals and for 74 other countries. It's right now they're saying
that you apply. I hesitate that you say that you apply because it's already been designated. It's already been set aside in your name.
But I actually would have to physically go and say, "Hey, I am
you
here."
You have to physically go and do the interview.
Okay, so we it's just different terms, okay, but the idea is the same. So
yeah,
what's going on inside the consulates all over the world? Nationals of 75 countries, including Russia, their processing will be placed on pause starting January 21st. Okay, so if you have your paperwork already approved, okay, then your process to get immigrant visa at the consulate is paused. Right now, pause is indefinite. We don't know. No, that's where it gets a little complicated because as far as I know, there hasn't been an official statement anywhere made. Just reports in the media that some reporters have seen the document. Manus, I know you follow in this issue. Has there been any development on that?
I believe that the State Department did issue a document, and maybe Tamara can verify that they are instituting the policy for the basically what I call the financials.
I did some research over.
Pardon me?
I did some research over the weekend, and yes, they did issue that guidance. There has been some preliminary reaction by immigration attorneys, kind of a best case and worst case scenario. So the best case, kind of the word on the street is, look, this is a knee-jerk reaction. It's already getting challenged. The ACLU is already, the Civil Liberties Union is already gearing up a lawsuit. So they're saying best case scenario is this could be a month or two blip in the road where
Yeah.
the court puts an injunction on it. The second best scenario is they come up with a new set of guidelines and lift the pause that way. And the third scenario is the worst case, everything gets caught in a logjam and it takes Congress coming in to break the logjam. So take that with a grain of salt. Those are kind of the three directions it could go right now. Personally, as the outside looking in, I'm not the immigration expert on the team. I'm just the person looking in. I think it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction because of some fraud that happened during the pandemic. Particularly, they uncovered some up in Minnesota, of all places, ironically. And they're just trying to make some rules. They don't know how to make it. They don't have any rules in place to try and stop some of the fraud. And the knee-jerk reaction is, well, if we make sure that people have enough money to support themselves when they get to the United States, they're less likely to commit fraud. Whether that's the right assumption or not,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where it, Manus?
My understanding that the fraud that occurred in Minnesota was a group of immigrants. And first of all, they came through the system legally.
Yes.
All right. They did not have any criminal history or anything along those lines, prior to coming in. So yes, they got their I-130s, they got their I-140s, they got their applications approved, and they came here and they set up shop, I guess in this one case, Minnesota, and they set up a few agencies where they went and got money from the government to fund certain programs. And instead of funding those programs, it funded cars and all that other stuff. So that money was misappropriated. And yes, the political ramifications are that somebody said, well, let's just ban everybody for now. And then they realized they're not allowed to ban everybody. So they did the next best thing is like, let's just make their lives a little bit more difficult. And the people that committed the fraud, they are going to be held accountable. But unfortunately, there are some things where they're going to punish other people who had nothing to do with it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll try.
It's like they say, a few bad apples ruin the basket, right? For everybody.
Yeah, it just gave an opportunity for a small minority of people in the United States who are, for some odd reason, opposed to immigration in all forms. And the bottom line is that every legitimate study done in the United States shows that immigrants do not commit crimes at the same level that our homegrown people commit crimes.
Why would you, when you worked so hard to get here and you've had to dot the I's and cross the T's and done everything to get, why would you risk doing something
That's
to
a
get
good
kicked
question.
out?
You
I
give
mean-
up so much and you put so many efforts into you spend years of your life to get to the USA, I mean, immigrants do make crimes, commit crimes, but I so agree with Manus. They compared to homegrown people, the rate is minuscule because all you want to do is work hard and make living and use all the legal opportunities to make your life better, because fraud could be committed where you came from, because most of the countries are very corrupt, and that's what people try to flee from.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
thing that I see is the misconception that immigrants are a public charge. And that's one thing we're trying to educate people at Brain Drain. All the research also says that immigrants contribute more than they take out of society. I'm doing a series right now about immigrants who have founded large companies, have put, what's the number I sent to the team of the number of billionaires in the world that are currently US naturalized immigrants? They've contributed over $1 trillion to the US economy. So what I've seen, even in Southern California here, is in general, the immigrants are the ones doing the jobs and doing the work, and they're not sitting on a public charge. But I know there are cases that vary. So we're trying to break that stereotype.
Yeah. The other thing that I think many people, and I'm not even sure that Eric is aware of it or whatever, is that they're to apply for certain benefits, whether it's Medicare or Medicaid. Let's skip Medicare. We'll go to Medicaid, which is for health insurance, SNAP, which is for food. No, that's for permanent residents and for citizens. So,
matter of fact, right, there's a moratorium right now.
Well, that's for even citizens.
Yeah.
The SNAP program is also, it's administered by each and every state. And yes, they do ask for your legal verification and everything like that. But the sponsorship agreements are simply saying that if you do that, and if, say, Konstantin comes here and he declares Eric as his sponsor, and then Konstantin goes and starts applying for SNAP benefits and maybe gets them, Eric is the one who has to pay for it. Right. Yeah, it's and they basically they look at the income of what you are bringing in yourself, or what your sponsor has, and they tell you, they basically sign that agreement, and both sign that agreement stating that no, we will not apply for SNAP, we will not apply for Medicare, and that type of stuff. And I can tell you that the applications for Medicare are different from each and every state. They're the same as in SNAP. I think I saw the example of a young woman with 2 children, a single mother with 2 children in Texas, was not able to get it, but if she went to Illinois, she would, because in Texas,
absolutely,
the income limit in Texas was like $3,200 a year, and the income in Illinois was like $32,000.
Other way around. But yeah, absolutely. We find that in California too. I've had a couple friends that moved to Texas from California, and once they get to Texas, they realize, oh, I guess it wasn't so bad in California with some of the benefits we had.
Yes. So it's it's I don't know how else to say. There's a lot of misconceptions, that are out there.
The other gut feeling I had, Manus, and I could be wrong, and I know it doesn't help our applicants who are looking to change their situation and are in the middle of the process. But to me, when I read that notice, my first gut reaction was, oh boy, here we go again. Here's another. When I thought about it a little bit, the more I thought about that, I thought, well, boy, that makes our applicants look even stronger, because the types of people we're bringing into the States, the people that are applying for those EB and OB categories, they're the types of people that could be the least likely to be a public charge. You know, these are people that are excellent in their field, that should be employable from day one. People should be clamoring over a lot of the candidates that we have in the queue.
Yeah.
So for our candidates, again, it doesn't provide a lot of comfort when the government pauses things, but my gut is that for our candidates, there'll be more paperwork, but it's not going to affect anything extremely
Actually,
drastic.
for our candidates, there isn't more paperwork because we've been doing that all along.
There you go.
Yeah. It is unfortunate for some, I understand, because and Tamara can back me up on this, but the actual EB1A applications for Russians is approximately 600 a year. All right. So you divide that by 12, that's 50. So that's 50 people that will have to wait in January, but they'll be able to get it in February because there's nothing that's going to happen to that visa that was designated to them that was approved by the National Visa Center. That will just sit in a drawer. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. How will they get in February? Let's say that the pause will last from, let's say, January 21st through September 21st. How will they get in February?
They will appear in February when the pause is lifted. It doesn't matter when the pause is lifted. That visa's there for them.
Okay. So you're saying when the pause is lifted. That's misleading. It's not going to be in February. We don't know that at this point.
We don't know. I'm just using that as an example. So if they're going to issue 600 through this calendar year, they're going to issue it before September 30th. I don't know how many they've issued already. I just know that the typical number, and Russia is in the top 5. All the other nations that we deal with are not even in the top 5, so their numbers are even less. And I think in the top 5, I can tell you right off the top of my head, I know that it's China. I know that it's India. I think Brazil and Mexico are there. So Russia would be in the top 5 for the EB1 category. They are not anywhere close to the top 5 or the top 10 in the EB2 category. And all the other nations that we're talking about are barely a blip on the record. The 75 nations. There are some nations that don't send anybody at all, but they're banned or they're paused.
So again, from the pause perspective, I think we're looking at either, the short term, the court puts an injunction on and the pause lifts, or the midterm that you see some new guidance, or the long term where it fights the Congress.
Yeah. So I as I said, I don't see any reason to panic at this time.
Well,
I look like I'm sharing.
I can tell you, Manus, you have no reason to panic. Many people that I personally know do have a reason to panic because their lives have just been, life plans have been put on pause. That's not just mishap. That's not just a short delay, that's a complete uncertainty at this time. And put yourself into the shoes of some of these people. Okay, Russia is after them. No country, absolutely countryless. They're frantically looking for a place to go to put roots. And they decide on the United States, and they have so much time left in the country that they are in right now, Kazakhstan, because of the certain visa restrictions or perhaps other reasons. This is emergency mode, and they make plans and they go ahead and try to get into the USA. And all of a sudden, USA says, you know what? your plans are on pause because we put the immigrants' visas on pause. And this is a pretty darn big reason to panic. And, it's not a very pleasant situation. And there are a lot of tragedies happening right now. The damage has been done already. And even if the best case scenario, if it lasts for 2 months, that's a lot of bad deeds will happen in those 2 months. A lot of people will decide not to pursue the USA. A lot of people, some might even get so discouraged that I don't know, they different scenarios. But I find the situation very, very tough on people, and in some cases tragic.
I look at it in a different way. I don't necessarily. I can understand how some people who wanted to leave in January are going to be upset and whatnot. But whether they leave January, February, or March, or April, or they have to wait until the end of September, I don't necessarily see. Obviously, that could be a tragedy on an individual basis. I also know that the numbers that are actually involved, the actual people that are involved, we do not have one candidate right now in our system that is going to be affected by this. I can say that with 100% certainty.
I didn't mean our candidates. Okay,
Yeah.
I meant people
Yeah.
in general, and not just from
people in
Russia,
general.
from 74 other countries.
People in general, they will choose not to apply, but that's I'm not going to say that's okay. I think that is also their choice because they're in panic mode. So I can see that that's going to be a situation that comes up. But the reality is that if we did have a candidate who was ready to go through that system, I can tell you that with our legal staff or whatever, we'd be able to get them pause or no pause. We'd be able to get it done. And but again, I think that the pause is not going to, my estimate, along with what Eric, just piggyback on what Eric said about all the challenges that will come up in courts and eventually the Congress, who's facing re-election this year and desperate to keep their jobs, they will step in and clear it up and whatnot. So I mean, but yes, 600, 140,000 people come through the United States through the employment-based system. All right, that's the cap, and we're still going to bring in 140,000 people. That's a bottom line.
Well, there's nothing to argue about that. You have your estimate, and I hope that you're right. I hope that things will get resolved quickly. My point of view, this situation is very wrong. On this side is considered, it's viewed on this side as very wrong, and it puts people onto panic mode, whether it's all right for them to panic or not all right. They shouldn't panic. That's how things are, plain and simple.
Yeah. That's why we're doing this. We're doing this to speak to those people, to let them know that a pause is not a ban, and a pause is not permanent. And to not to start your application, because the application itself, once it's submitted, and first of all, our experience has been showing that it's taking 6 months to a year for people to get their applications assembled, in a proper way. Could they have done it faster? And the answer is yes. The average speed is between 3 and 6 months, and then you have 6 to 8 months for processing. If you pay a little extra, you can either get that down to a 15-day or 45-day window. But if anything, this is going to hurt USCIS because they won't be able to collect those premium processing fees.
Very,
Exactly.
I agree, very much so. Yes, you're so right. And
Yeah.
Manus, in principle, you're absolutely right. If someone, is willing to immigrate to the USA and then comes to us now, or not just to us, anyone, or decides to file the documents on his or her own, okay,
Yeah.
they can still do that. And that's going to take quite a few months. And most likely this situation, not necessarily, but most likely will be resolved, let's say, within like 9 months. By the time USCIS approves application, right? There's a bigger play here. A lot of people looking at this situation, to choose new home is a very sensitive decision. They're looking at this situation. They're looking what's happening with ICE raids all over the country, okay? They're looking at the unfairness that is done to immigrants. And they start asking themselves question, is the USA the country I really want to end up in? Because if they did this to immigrant visas, now they might do something like that again. They just they did the same, same thing. They put, the green card lottery on pause. Well, it's not canceled officially, but it's not there. Okay. So now it's the immigrants visas. What are they going to do next? And that is the question a lot of people are asking right now. Do I want to end up in the USA? And I think that will hurt the country a lot in the long run.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Konstantin. I think a lot of Americans are asking themselves the same question. But we're not going to get political here, but yeah, as an American, I can see how we don't look very good right now from a lot of aspects, from what's happening on the news with immigration, and especially what you must be seeing on the news internationally. Especially if you're coming out of Russia and you've come out of the system there and you see some of the potential for repression. Personally, I'll say it's been a bit disappointing as an American. But I'll also say personally, that's what drives me to work even harder to spread the message, to say immigrants aren't bad. We need immigration. There are good people that are waiting to come to the United States. So despite how bad it looks, my message to all of you who are listening from outside of the United States is don't give up on America. I still have faith in America. I still have faith that it's a good place to come and live and spread some roots.
Eric, that what you just said is beautiful. Okay. And I also have faith in America. And, the difference between me and people who are here in Tashkent is that I've seen it with my own eyes. I have felt it. I have touched it. I've lived it. Okay. And I know. And I know that America is full of people like you and Manus. Okay. They fight back, and if they want something to change, then they get up and change things. And that's what, America is about, really. Self-governing and all these things. There's a difference between me and people who haven't seen it with their own eyes. Okay, they listen to the media, they listen to reports. Some of them are true, some are not, and it's much more difficult for them to have faith, not actually seeing it and touching it and feeling it, not having this personal experience with the country. Okay, that's where I see a problem.
Okay. I don't know how else to phrase it. I understand that there are problems, and I understand that there are certain situations and whatnot. Eric and I had this conversation yesterday. We still have probably, I can't, I don't know. You came from a power company, but I think as far as power grids go, we still have the greatest power distribution in the world as far as being able to plug something in and being able to turn it on. And we were commenting about how the AI bubble keeps on growing, and all these people are talking about, you know, advanced sums of money and hundreds of millions and trillions and all this other stuff. They just throw out these numbers. But they recently got together and said, okay, we're going to put up 15 billion to increase the power grid in the United States to handle AI. And when you compare that to Europe, when you compare that to Asia and all those other places, you know, 15 billion isn't going to get them to the level that we are right now. And two, when I looked at the numbers that they were talking about, I realized that 15 billion isn't even enough to get us to where we want to be. But we are now in the U.S. Yes, we are competing against Europeans, you know, to bring in people because there just aren't as many. The reality is that there just aren't as many people in the world today as there should be.
Yeah, population decline is happening everywhere. And so that's so counterintuitive of countries should be clamoring to get their best talent. And to your point, Manus, piggybacking on the data center boom, that was something I just read yesterday about. We're building all these data centers. We've got all these trillions allocated to data centers, and we don't have enough electricians to plug the things in.
Yeah.
So we have a shortage of electricians. So, hey, any electricians looking to come on a skilled visa?
Yeah. It's not so much a population decline, it's a population shift, meaning that there's more people my age in the United States than there are people of Tamara's age. Yeah, and you know, the reality is that I need people of Konstantin's and Tamara's age to work and produce and everything like that, so I can sit at home and turn on the baseball game and fall asleep. Yeah, yeah, and enjoy my retirement and be able to plug things in. You know, so that's the reality, and the competition is going to be for those demographics to bring people like them here. But I still
think you
that,
drew the picture perfectly.
yeah, yes, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Well, and a lot of it, the only place in the world right now that is experiencing steady population demographic growth is the global south. So,
yeah.
you know, guess what? If you don't like the countries in the global south and you need people to come work in your country, you're going to have a hard time in the next century.
You're right on. You're right on. And Manus, you have a fantastic point. And I got to tell you that China has been competing for people with the United States since the first I heard was like 2014, over 10 years ago, that they started bringing skilled people to China. And now it's really easy to get to China if you're a skilled person.
It's called
Yeah.
Thousand Talents. Yep.
Now
But
there
can
are
you become
52
Chinese?
countries. No, you can't. That's why, although a lot of people go to China, move to China for money, but you have the point. And, you know, I have been promoting the idea of migrating to the USA to people around the world and here in Uzbekistan, and you also, because you came here personally and you had lecture and presentation. So because I believe that I can become American. If I move to the country, then I can become, and everyone will just welcome me and say, hey, welcome to America. You're one of us now. Even people don't speak English, they're still welcomed and are considered their own, And this is very true, okay? Some people move to China for money, for financial gains, but never they will be able to become Chinese.
No, there is no path to citizenship, and you'll never own property either. The best
even
you'll
if it
do
was, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The best you'll do is a 70-year lease on a property, because you can't physically own any property.
There are probably some ways the Communist Party can grant you in exceptional case, citizenship or something like that. But the thing is, even if you get Chinese citizenship, you don't become Chinese culturally, Yeah. You're gonna be treated as non-Chinese, a foreigner. Yeah. That's the whole idea. And there are 52 countries right now in the world who have opened up their skilled programs, skilled worker programs. They're called a little different. They're called nomad visas. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, immigration is shifting, and what the USA needs to outcompete with other countries, to make everything possible to bring people in. That's my point of view. I mean, that makes us our cause even more important. Hey, I don't know if I told you a story before, but I've said it in my live streams on Inside Russia. I actually faced a Chinese operative in Russia who offered a bribe to bring Russians into China. Well, not a bribe, really. Reward. They call it the reward. And it's official in Russia. So we had a representative of one of the Chinese provinces came to a meeting. She sought to meet myself and the CEO of the corporation that I used to work at. And, we set up an appointment. And she basically openly told us, hey, we thought she would be promoting some Chinese companies willing to break into Russian power construction market. But no, she clearly, openly said, look, I need people. I need smart people, scientists. For every scientist you recommend and we sign a contract with and he moves to China, we'll give you so much money. I don't remember. It was decent amount of money, like 1 million rubles or something like that. And she also said, if it's an academician, a scientist with a higher advanced degree, then we'll double that. We'll give you like 2 million. And I couldn't believe it. I said, well, are you buying them? She said, no. We just, we would sign a contract. We would bring them to China. We'd pay them a lot of money and we'd cover room and board, the living expenses, and they would be just working along our scientists, on different projects. So that's a pure brain drain. That's
it sounds like
knowledge brain,
It sounds what you're talking about is the 1,000 Talents program, because they were running the same playbook in the United States. Matter of fact, some people in the United States got arrested. For recruiting for 1,000 Talents.
Yes, Eric, you're right. I was not aware of this program, but that's what she offered, and I politely declined because I didn't want to do anything with that. But that's the case. It was right before the pandemic hit. Probably late 2019, something like that. And she was so driven. And it seemed like it was one of her major purposes in Russia, to get Russians to come to China. It was pretty unusual. Okay.
Yeah, I see it as a situation where, um, yes, China, Europe, and those, they're trying to improve themselves to be where we are now, and where we are in the U.S. now. And even though those of us who are in the U.S. now know that we need to make changes, for our future, like uh, enhancing or rebuilding or restructuring the power grid. Uh, we have this the two programs, and right now it is geared towards bringing in those with advanced degrees, those with extraordinary abilities. But sooner or later, somebody's got to wake up and realize we need plumbers, we need electricians, we need, tradespeople to
Yeah.
come in. And the idea of right now, and Eric can tell you that if something happens and we need a plumber, these guys are hard to find and expensive.
They're
And
expensive. Expensive.
yeah,
If they're hard to find, they can command any price they want to.
yes, and but again, it's kind of like, and also in the medical field, I know that the waiting rooms are filling up, and
Absolutely.
and
And
go
that's one
ahead.
of the things I've started to do. And that's the good thing to mention, Manus, is the healthcare field. We are so, and that's all over the world. But in the United States, there's a shortage of healthcare, and that slack
Yeah,
is taken up predominantly by immigrants,
yeah,
particularly in the manual labor, the more menial labor jobs, the people that are coming and helping serve your meals in the hospital, or cleaning up in the hospital. Or we have a lot of healthcare professionals come in. The country that's mastered that's become a powerhouse, is the Philippines.
yes.
Turns out some of the largest numbers of nurses and healthcare professionals in the world. And they send a
I
ton of people.
I knew a woman back in the uh, early 2000s, and that was her job. And I joked with her, it's like I want to go on one of these trips with you when you go to buy nurses. Basically that's how she phrased it. I have to go and buy nurses. She worked for
Yeah.
the hospital, and she needed you know nurses to go in, and the Philippines was one of the shopping centers, if you want to call it that, to go there and hire these people and bring them here and whatnot. So, but we still have that situation because there are more of me and older than people who are younger that are able to take care of us as our bodies break down and our health deteriorates. That's you know a fact of life. You know, and it happens, and we are used to a little bit more professional care than say in the old days of what our children can provide. We'd rather not have our children give us medical treatments. Yeah, I don't know if that attitude is shared worldwide, but yes, we need young doctors, we need young nurses, and we need young uh, medical technicians to take the jobs that us old people used to do.
So we've got about 5 minutes left. Maybe we should say what's the overall advice for people that are watching this? I mean, one, I think, is we realize the situation is tough. Uh, yes, it's tough when you're in a pause and things are uncertain. But I think the overriding sense is don't panic and don't give up on the U.S. Keep keep your applications in process, because that is not an overnight thing to get done.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah.
to add to that, Manus?
I would say for many of you, start. just get it started.
Yeah.
Because do a little bit each and every day to get it started. Work with us. We will tell you what documents to collect and what you need to do in order to do that. But just get it started, because once that application is compiled, once everything is put together, it then goes into it goes to USCIS, and the average processing is 6 to 7 months. And I would say, don't panic. This is, for me, this is like, we just had a snowstorm yesterday, and there's snow and ice on the ground, and it's a mess here, on the East Coast, and I guess other places, at least in Philadelphia. And but I'm not going to cancel my summer plans. You know, you
Yeah.
know, and I would say to other people, don't have yourself worried about something that is obviously probably a year away, or maybe even a year and a half away, if it's still there when you get there. I don't think the snow that's on the ground right now is going to be here in July.
No, I think that's a good observation. I think, yeah, keep the process. No matter where you are, no matter where you're going to try to go, if you've never gone through an immigration process, you should know it's not an overnight thing. It takes several steps. It takes a lot of paperwork, and maybe it's time to make a plan B. Never hurts to make a plan B, but yeah, keep going on plan A, and we'd like to help you.
Yeah.
If you're a qualified individual, and so how do you get involved with Brain Drain? You can look at our website. We've got some information about applicants, and the first step is you send us a message, and we schedule an appointment with you, and we go from there, and we see how we can potentially help.
I would also just put it in this framework, is that you are where you are right now, and you can choose to stay there. And you've heard that China is looking for people, and I know for a fact that Europe is looking for people. If anything, this is a fantastic time for you, because there are people looking for you. And whether it's from the United States, or whether it's from Europe, or whether it's from China, there are people looking for you. And you can pretty much work out your own conditions. You are the one that gets to choose. And maybe that's a little bit whatever, but I mean, that's how I would feel.
I would add this. I personally keep my hopes, and I keep my faith. And I've heard this fantastic British proverb. The Brits say, keep your chin up and keep on going. Keep going. So that's exactly what I'm doing. This is a great, great saying, okay? And that's exactly what I am doing. I'm keeping my chin up despite of all the wind that blows into my face, and I keep on going.
Keep calm and carry on.
Yes. Perhaps that's the right one.
Well, and today, I should mention in closing that today is a national holiday in the United States, and it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And for those of you who don't know, outside of the States, Martin Luther King Jr. was someone who fought his whole life for civil rights and the rights of others, and the rights of people who don't have a voice. So his most famous speech was the "I Have a Dream" speech. So I would encourage everyone to keep the dream alive. Don't let a few indecisive politicians extinguish your dreams.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I would second that. and we approve.
All right.
Okay.
Well, is that a good ending
Okay.
note then?
Yes, that's a good ending note. I think that's perfect.
All right. Well, join us again here next week. Follow us on social media. If you have the means, we'd love it if you checked us out and gave us a small thumbs up or a donation. We don't have a buy us a coffee, but we do enjoy coffee whilst we try to help immigrants. And with that, thanks for joining, and we'll see you again next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this and maybe even learned something new. If you did, don't just vanish into the algorithm. Hit like, subscribe, and follow us on social. It's the easiest way to support our work and make sure you never miss what's next. Want to stay in the loop without relying on big tech's mood swings? Sign up for our monthly newsletter. And if you've got the means, donations of any size keep our programs running strong. As a 501c3, your gift is tax deductible where the law allows. Together, we can turn brain drain into America's next big breakthrough.